Hi, Rick.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
I can see you and hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to get in on my computer, but I'm using my phone for the moment until I can get my computer booted here.
Okay. I have to look and check something. I gotta figure. Okay.
And let me try and, there we go. Slightly larger picture. Okay.
What I gotta figure out is, I only have one screen. Am I able to share my screen? Oh. There. Okay. Yes, I can.
See.
Miss Trina, can you see if anybody who's in the attendees should be promoted to a panelist? I just promoted Alicia Jones.
Miss Carol, Miss Hattie.
Okay, they're not there. Oh, she is here now. Okay. The 718 number, that's not Dr. McCafferty, is it?
I believe it may be. Let me look at my.
I'm unmuted now, Reverend McCafferty.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
thank you.
trying to learn the phone numbers, but
Okay, thanks.
So Hattie, did you see Hattie there? Yep, I see her.
yep, she's here.
I see Mr. Moore, Carol, Susan.
Yes, I'm here.
Why didn't you tell me? I wasn't proud of it. Your dad came back to me. I was feeling vulnerable. It's been a long time.
Someone's television or something.
So all this time. Here's just.
Yeah, they need to mute themselves. *6.
Mr. Moore, I see you twice.
Okay, you should see me only once now. Oh, I see. I need to figure out what that is. There we go. Did I disappear off your screen on my second shot?
You did.
Okay. I think that was my cell phone hanging up. I had to reboot it.
Okay. I see Mr. Abbott.
Yes. My cell phone had to reboot too, so I'm there's a prayer behind me being here. Not sure how long it's going to last.
Mr. Peterson is a subcommittee member, right?
Who?
Ms. Trina, Mr. Peterson, Don Peterson?
I don't know his name.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Susan Nogan?
Yes.
I thought so. I don't have I only have one screen up right now, so I can only,
I have my list up, so.
okay.
Are we waiting for someone? Hello?
I'm getting a call from Reverend Edwards. Just a second.
Anne
Good
Marie,
evening.
who is going to lead this subcommittee meeting?
I assumed that Miss Trina would do it.
Okay. I think that's useful to know.
What are we waiting for?
Miss Trina's on the phone with Reverend Edwards.
Reverend Edwards. The meeting ID, Miss Anne Marie, what's the meeting ID?
Let me look it up. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
I think it begins with a.
It is
Let me look at it.
It's a 3-4.
343332.
Yes.
That's the password. There's a meeting ID.
It's
That's-
The ID
847.
should come automatically. It should connect with put in the meeting ID.
Right.
Um,
But if he needs to type something in, it's 847-8389-8532.
89. That is, he's dialing in. So it's 847.
847-8389-8532.
Reverend Edwards. 847-8389-8532.
And then he'll need the passcode 343332.
And then you'll need the passcode 34333. Say that again, Anne-Marie. 343.
343332.
343332 is the passcode. Reverend Evers, don't worry if you can't get in. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Okay, just keep trying. Yeah, no problem. Take care. Bye-bye. Say that again, Anne Marie. What was I? Who said I was supposed to do something? What was that?
Should have been Reverend Edwards. He can't get in, so she's saying you should run the meeting, or she's
Right.
assuming that you're going to run the meeting.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Or it could be,
Mhm.
it could be Reverend McCafferty.
Well, Reverend McCafferty is the vice chairperson, but I don't mind her running it. But I do want us to realize there is protocol.
So I'm fine with Reverend McCafferty doing what, you know, she's the vice chair, of course.
I just said I don't mind you running it. I just wanted us to realize there is protocol. So you can start.
Okay. Let's see. Let me get back to the board. So I guess we'll call the meeting to order. And the first thing on our agenda is the Freedom of Information Act. And Ms. Anna Marie, you'll be giving the briefing on that.
All right, so I am going to hopefully share my screen. So full disclosure, I didn't change the Baird Mandalis on the front because I didn't really change any of the content, so I didn't want to take credit for anything. This was something that our attorneys put together that he's used for training. So in the state of Delaware code, we have the Freedom of Information Act, which is in Title 29, Section 100-04. So it's got 3 zeros there. And the two major pieces of the act relate to open meetings and open records. So probably the more important thing, I mean, actually it's all important, but I think it's really important that you understand what constitutes an open meeting, what constitutes a quorum. So I'm not going to read the full thing, and I can send this presentation out as well. But, you know, the idea is that, you know, we are government, and therefore the public should be able to observe the performance of public officials and monitor the decisions. So that's the general policy that sets the framework for the Freedom of Information Act. So, you know, it gets a little confusing on, or it seems sometimes what's confusing on a public body. Obviously, City Council is, the African American Heritage Commission itself as a body created by council is. Right now, the group that we're working with is the subcommittee, that it's really 2 subcommittees, but it's the subcommittee groups that are being brought together to perform a function that then would feed into the work of the larger commission. So all of those under the Freedom of Information Act are considered a public body. So you know, is implied or specifically charged by other public bodies or by other public official body or agency to advise or make reports, investigations, or recommendations. So I think really that's where the subcommittees fall, because you will be advising the larger commission. So the big thing with public bodies and meetings, if there is a quorum of the members of the subcommittee present, then there's a meeting of the body. With this, it shouldn't be that hard because there are so many people that are part of the subcommittee work that it's unlikely that you'll just coincidentally happen to have a quorum. I think we need to figure out exactly what that number is. So I will work with Reverend McCafferty and Miss Trina and Reverend Edwards to make sure that we're clear on who's on which subcommittee, because and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is it's 2 subcommittees for 2 different time periods for the research. So each will have a, based on the number, a quorum is the majority. So so I just need to make sure I'm clear on how many are on each. So the formal or informal gathering of a quorum for the purpose of discussing or taking action on public business. So if everybody happens to, I'm looking at Jim Abbott, so if everybody happens to just be at the Sea Glass Festival and say hi and run into each other and talk about the weather, that's not a quorum. That's not a FOIA violation. If you all kind of hang out together and talk about what the committee's doing, that's where you get into the problematic area. Because under the public meeting law, all public meetings have to be public, and it has to be within the jurisdiction of the city. So it needs to take place in the city. I'll skip over this. This just pretty much says if we're expecting a large gathering, you need to prepare. And we've seen that with council, where if we expect a large gathering of the public to come to a council meeting, pre-COVID, of course, we would have it at the Rollins Center so that we would be able to accommodate more people.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is there anything under the existing rules that actually discusses a Zoom meeting?
There's, so yes, kind of. The governor, under his executive order, or I guess his emergency declaration, allowed for the electronic meetings, because under the strict statute, it was not permitted. And then when the General Assembly convened, they adopted into law pretty much what the governor had put forward in his emergency order, but it expires next year. I can't remember the date, but it's in 2021. It expires. So they could extend that. But yes, you're right, Rick, that with COVID, we're not gathering in a physical location. We're gathering in a virtual location, which is not, so you can see here, on video conferencing is listed, and it says that elected officials cannot video conference, and appointed officials can, but you have to make it public, which under the statute, without the revisions for the current pandemic, would mean that you would have to, if Rick Moore wanted to participate via teleconference from his living room, you have to post that and allow the public to come to that location. Under COVID, it kind of, all that stuff's out the window in terms of pretty much all the meetings are happening virtually. And right now, through the action of the General Assembly, that's compliant, but it's only compliant for the short term. So the General Assembly, in what they passed, do not envision the continuation of virtual public meetings once the pandemic is done. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
So one of the things that is interesting, under FOIA, it requires that you allow the public to observe the process. It does not require that you allow the public to participate. So it is possible, if the commission or the subcommittee wanted to, they could have a meeting and take no public comment. Typically, I think those of you who have been in Lewes a while realize that's typically not the way we do things in Lewes. Even if public comment is not required on something, it's often very much a dialogue between the public body and the audience in a meeting. And we've continued to do that through the Zoom platform with, for instance, if people put comments in the chat during a meeting, we make a point to share them. So, you know, Lewes is, I think, very, Lewes has a very strong priority on public engagement. So I would, especially given, you know, what this group is doing and you know, pulling together the history and trying to tell the story, I think I would expect, you know, that would be the way that this would go. But from a statute perspective, you're not required to take public comments. Agendas are required, so you have to give 7 days notice of a meeting. And if the agenda is amended within that 7-day window, you need to explain why it was amended. So there are times when there is an emergency situation, you know, a weather emergency. Well, even as COVID came on us very quickly, I believe we did schedule an emergency council meeting so that we could get some things in place very early on in the whole process. But I think typically on an advisory body like this, I can't imagine a situation where it would be an emergency meeting. But, you know, typically if there's something that's less than 7 days, we would get an opinion from Glenn Mandalis, our solicitor. So the interesting thing about FOIA is it only requires that the meeting be posted at the principal office of the public body holding the meeting. So legally, we're only technically required to post it at City Hall. Now, the state has different, the statute itself has different rules for state agencies. They have a state website that they need to post all meetings on. We do post all of our meetings on the website. We post them 7 days in advance. We sometimes try to get them up there more quickly, but I think you probably all know we have a lot of meetings in Lewes, so we are always posting agendas. So and then the agenda needs to include a general statement of the major issues expected to be discussed. So, you know, we can have a very general agenda, but if I'm trying to think, if there's nothing on the agenda that would even intimate that there's mission and goals being discussed, you wouldn't be able to just add that the day of the meeting. So again, the whole idea is the more specificity, the better, but you know, the requirement is that you want the public to be able to have a sense of what's going to be discussed at the meeting. Minutes are required to be kept. And I think, I don't know if Jackie's on the call right now, but typically Jackie is keeping our minutes for us. So you don't have to state every discussion point. It's really primarily the actions. We try to have enough of a summary in our minutes so that if somebody comes back a few years later and wants to get a sense of why a certain decision was made, that we have enough information that people can put together the chronology. It does not set a time limit for how long you have to prepare the minutes. Again, we try to make sure that we have the minutes available for the body to approve at the next meeting. Executive sessions, I'm just going to very quickly say there are very few and specific reasons that public bodies are permitted to meet not in public, and the rules are very strict on those. I can't imagine that there would be any circumstance where either of these subcommittees or the commission itself would need to meet an executive session. Again, if something did come up, we would seek legal guidance from our solicitor. Public records are any information of any kind owned, made, used, retained, received, produced, composed, all of these things that relate to public business. So what I think the most important thing for you to know as it relates to the work of the African American Heritage Commission and the subcommittees, any document that is, if it's an email exchange, if it's a letter that's related to the work of the commission or the subcommittees, is technically a public document. So if somebody came to the city of Lewes and they said, I want all of the records that relate to the work of the subcommittee of the African American Heritage Commission, we would reach out to you and we would ask you to search your emails, and most of it's probably pretty mundane, like meeting agendas and things like that. But if you have two or three people going back and forth on a specific topic, if it's related to the work of the commission, we would need to consider that a public document. So
Just a question on that, since we will be likely to be doing research, so we will be looking at we'll be looking at records, books, that kind of thing. That would be part of what we would be compiling, and the word compile is in there. But some of those might be proprietary or copyrighted, so they can't belong to the city. We can't grant copyright to the city because we have compiled them into our research.
no, but if somebody wanted to review the research, we would need to make it available for somebody to look at. Mr. Moore?
Clarification. If I'm understanding the way the rule works, this refers to items for which we actually take possession, custody, or otherwise accumulate. If we take
Yes.
a notation of a reference where a record may be located, the record is not in our custody.
No, exactly. That's, and a lot of what you guys are going to be looking at probably will be public records themselves. What I would say is it's really going to be if you write up a summary of, you found articles from, a period of time, and you're writing a summary and you create a document, that document becomes part of a public record. Once it's a document, if it's your handwritten notes, that's where it gets questionable. I think the main thing I want you to take away from this is if you're sending emails back and forth about the business of the commission, they could be considered public records. So you don't, and again, to this last bullet, you don't want to put anything in an email regarding the work of this committee that you wouldn't want to have in the paper. If you don't want to read it somewhere else, and again, I think it's less of an issue for you guys than it is for people like me who work in government every day, and sometimes somebody gets under your skin and you send a scathing email and then you realize, oof, that's subject to FOIA. So, I don't expect that to be so much of an issue for you, but if you are talking about something that's sensitive, you just want to be cautious. You want to be cognizant of the fact that if somebody, and we have had this before with, you know, some of our commissions where, you know, regarding a certain topic, I want to see every bit of correspondence that the council or the commission or whatever had on this specific topic. And, you know, some of it, you know, because we get just in that groove where we sometimes write an email like it's a letter, and other times we write it like we're talking to somebody, and, you know, sometimes those things have to be made public. So again, I don't expect anybody in the subcommittee to do anything, but I think it's just when you're not used to operating in the environment where everything you do is public, it helps to know that's the fishbowl we're in.
Can I ask a question, please?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
This is Charlotte. Because I'm not sure I'm totally in sync with what you're saying, because I've worked under FOIA and lots of boards up at the state, and it's the official record, not the passing through of all sorts of little, are you available on this day? Are you available on that day? Wasn't that a long meeting yesterday? No, it was not. It's the official record of an organization that becomes subject to FOIA. And someone can request FOIA. And the other thing is, we're not all accountable. The chair of the subcommittee, the chair of the African American Commission, has to take responsibility for what goes in and out. I mean, I would hate to think that the 14 of us can hand out information in a FOIA request. We can't. Only the official owner of that document can.
Well, it's in the case, and I'll get to you in just a second, Mr. Moore. In the case of a FOIA request, there are times where it's not just the chair and it's not just the official record. There have been times where we have had to produce the email communications that have come, you know, again.
Yes, that's my point. You have to produce it. You have to call me and say,
exactly.
Send me the emails. A FOIA request cannot come to me as an unofficial member.
Okay, you make an excellent point there.
For the protection of your committee team,
right?
You have to make sure that I don't go around sending out independent information on a FOIA request. You make an
excellent point. Thank you. See, I've been in my little government bubble too long, so yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about the same government bubble, and I've been in trouble in that government bubble. Right. That's why I want to make sure that we understand.
Right, and that's why
only Reverend Edwards can send out those emails.
So
and send out those final request.
Well, so this next slide that's up, under the state statute, we're required to have a FOIA coordinator, and our FOIA coordinator for the city is Janine Heffley, who is our city clerk. So any FOIA request is going to come to her. So you can't. You are absolutely right, Ms. King. Some random person cannot contact you and say, hand over your records. They have to go through the FOIA coordinator, who will then reach out to the committee chair and will work that way.
How much?
So I apologize if I was unclear.
How much do we charge, by the way?
Not enough. We don't have a specific policy, so it's whatever the default is in the code, which is not enough. We do need to develop a policy.
Okay, so I know that's a major complaint around the state. Everyone has a different price. Some people charge $10 per page. Some charge
we're very, very inexpensive. I think it's like a quarter a page. Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because having dealt with FOIA since FOIA was started in the federal government decades back, one of the things that does happen is, although you have a coordinator who's the central point of contact, say for an inquiry coming in, when you get a request transmitted from that FOIA coordinator, what you have to provide to the FOIA coordinator will include even the most trivial of emails and other items like that. And just so everyone's aware, the reason for that is, although I don't anticipate it happening necessarily in this commission or committees, but the reason for that is someone may be concerned that there are meetings occurring which aren't properly being notified, and that actions may happen in those meetings which therefore are being conducted sub rosa. And so what they would do is do a thorough search of even the most trivial emails to identify information about such contacts or meetings, which then lead on a chain of inquiry to figure out what the substance was. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware that although the coordination of a FOIA request is centralized, when you're asked to provide information to that coordinator, you do in fact have to divulge all information, because if you fail to do that, then you're in violation of the FOIA.
Right. So, Ms. Chandras?
Hi, I'm a little confused, and I didn't attend the first meeting. So in this presentation, would you be explaining how the committee gets together, how they obtain information to go through to check to see if we are, since libraries are closed, how do we get information to explore and research?
So I think that's going to, that can be kind of a separate discussion that I think, Mr. Abbott might have some good background in that area. We do have a few things in the chat here. Susan Nogan said if we have an email document retention policies that automatically delete things after a period of time, do you have to do anything? No, you do not have to change your personal retention policies. Does FOIA include letters from the public? Yes, it does include correspondence from the public. And yes, you can get a copy of the slides, and Mr. Noble asked if I can put it on the website. As long as our solicitor does not object to me putting it on the website, I will definitely put it on the website, but I will provide it to you. And again, the purpose of telling you this is more just so that you understand that some of the things that, if you've spent your entire world in the public or private sector and haven't had to live under FOIA, it's helpful to know going into this process that, again, your emails may become public, or, and I think Mr. Moore brought up a really good point, the sub rosa meetings. When we determine what the quorum is, the committee, the commission, the subcommittees cannot go back and forth over email. The meetings need to happen in public. At this point, they're on Zoom, but it cannot be an email meeting where you have a quorum of the committee discussing the business at hand.
Anne Marie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Reverend Dr. McCafferty needs to be unmuted.
Oh, is she muted? Hold on,
I'm looking at a text, so I don't know if that was earlier or if that was now.
Dr. McCafferty, I think you're unmuted. Oh, you somehow got muted again. Okay, now you should be able to talk now.
Okay, I had gotten bumped off and I had to call back in.
Oh, so that's why
why I was muted.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right. So, okay. I guess we got to questions. Again, I think probably for this group, and for the commission, the thing you probably will need to most remind yourself is that you can't get in email conversations that include the whole group. I know early on I saw a little bit of what started to look like it was going to go in that direction. So we do need to kind of catch ourselves if we send an email to everybody and then a response comes, and then you just kind of need to stop that and then, ask Reverend Edwards to get whatever that discussion is on the next agenda so that it can happen in public. I will turn it back over to our chair, vice chair, secretary.
Dr. McCafferty, do you have anything to that you wanted to add concerning that?
I want to talk to you.
No, I don't. I think it's very clear, and I thank you for the
I think we
presentation.
have some stuff in the background. I'm not sure. All right.
Yeah, but
And
you
I think
heard
I
me.
heard her say that you didn't have anything to add.
Right. And thank you for
Okay,
the
I'm sorry.
presentation.
Yeah, it was great. And I'm sure that if questions arise, then Miss Anne-Marie will be happy to give any type of clarification on that. But I just thought it was important that everyone know and understand, at least superficially, about FOIA. Did anyone else have any questions that they want to ask about that?
And one thing I do want to say, you know, as you all begin your work, I think that the work that the commission and these subcommittees is doing is extremely important work. I am not a historian. I'm not a curator like Jim Abbott. It's not my area of expertise, but anything that I can do on behalf of the city to help you, just let me know. You know, send me an email, call me. I do believe that the work that you all are doing is really important, and I want to support it in any way I can.
Miss Anne-Marie, I did want to mention that for the committee members, in order for them to get notification of commission meetings, they can sign up for the city website and check off whatever meetings that could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So what I'll do is I will send you all a link to where you can go. We have within our website, you can sign up to get notifications of meetings, and you can choose whatever subcommittees, committees you want from a pretty lengthy list. So that way you don't get inundated with a bunch of meetings that don't interest you, but you can make sure that you don't miss a meeting that would. So I will send that out to you so that you all have it. And obviously you'll want to sign up for the notifications for the African American Heritage Commission. Right, the meeting that this agenda I posted went to that group, that specific group. So, and Mr. Moore just shared a link to the Freedom of Information Act. So,
and that would, if you sign up for that, then you won't get the emails from me, and I'd encourage you to do that. And
please.
Sometimes I
she begs you to do that.
As a reminder to that a meeting is happening. So that will reduce my email also. I don't think we have any other questions concerning that, and I don't see anything else in the chat about that topic right now. So let me go back.
Hattie Bull had her hand raised.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi. I was first I want to apologize. That was my TV, and I didn't realize I was not on mute. Secondly, is there a timeline for this? Because I heard someone mention earlier with the history that we are seeking about the library, which we will not find this information in libraries. A lot of it's going to be conversations that with people that lived in the area. So is there a timeline?
Is there a
You mean a
timeline for
timeline?
what?
Are you asking, is there a timeline to gather information?
Yes. When are we going to, have we set a timeline for this? Because the information, most of the information that will be given is going to be on a level of interviewing. Because I'm not sure. I heard someone mention earlier about library, the history of Lewes with African Americans in Lewes. I'm pretty sure it's not in any of the libraries.
We don't have a timeline set for any information gathering. That's as far as I'm concerned, it's infinite.
Okay.
Reverend McCafferty, do you have anything to say about that?
No, we have not established a timeline, but I do want to say that the library is not the only resource that we can get information about people even from Lewes. So the archives, state archives, online, you can find out a lot of stuff. So because the libraries are closed should not hinder us a lot.
I thought we were using the archives and the Lewes Museum, which is full of stuff. Am I
Yeah,
wrong,
that's just one. That's just one place. We can't just look at one place. That's why we need a lot of people, because there's information in more than one place.
Well,
Yeah.
I just saying
And I
that
know
place
we-
rather than conversation. But James or Mr. Abbott, am I wrong that we're not?
I think it's multifaceted. I think the archive of the Lewes Historical Society and the Lewes History Museum, that's certainly one resource. And Charlotte, you're very familiar with that, I know, because you've been volunteering there. But I think when we're talking about conversation, I believe we're talking about oral histories, interviewing people, and
Exactly.
and that's a very important component as well, because the memories of citizens are untapped. And that's not just in the African American community, that's probably for a large portion of the community. And we want to take advantage of those memories. So I think when we're talking about conversation, we're actually talking about implementing a program for oral histories.
I agree, and we do know that before you came, James, under Mike DiPaolo, he did many months of oral histories that are taped and are someplace up in those archives. And that was one of my interests when I got on the board to go find those tapes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so did we, Miss Charlotte. We did too. And the point is, though, that it's not just one location that we're looking for history, because especially our history, you have to delve into unconventional places to find information.
Right. History's everywhere.
And that's my point. That was my point. We can't rely on especially just the library, because if you're going in there looking at books for local history, African American history, you're not going to find it. So we need to be, as you stated, Jim, multifaceted in our a collection of data.
Right.
And
Clarification.
JIROs are really good sources of information. And those are people that recall the past and can tell you oral histories.
Point of clarification.
And that needs to be.
I think we need to be careful in our discussion here, because we're talking about FOIA procedures and we're starting to slide into actual proceedings of the commission and the subcommittees. And it seems to me that we ought to separate that. And I want to go back to actually an earlier procedural point that I think we probably want to keep in mind. If you go out and do an interview with someone, you can actually do that independently on your own. But if you submit information to the commission, you're providing that in some form of a notation, correspondence, email, etc. And what you provide to the commission becomes a public record. If you do an interview on your own, that's your own record until such time as you provide it to someone else.
Yeah.
What you provide by way of information about you have that interview, that's the public information. And that's where I think we want to be clear and careful in keeping a line of demarcation in our discussion, so that we don't kind of cross over into actually having a public meeting incidentally by our discussion.
Trina, I wanted to ask, and this is really points into Rick Moore's question. I asked if we could, is there any place, because I only count 10 people here, where we could meet face to face and social distance? So we're going to be dividing into these subcommittees and figure out what we're going to be covering in this period. And Jim, I don't know whether you're going to be directing that, or we as the subcommittee members are going to come up with topics. But is there any way, I only count 10 people here, and if we divide in two, that's 5 people. Is there any place that instead of meeting like this, we could meet face to face? Dan?
I
Are you
can
talk-
I
are
can
you
offer
talking
the
about-
I can
I didn't understand.
I can offer the
I mean, I
following,
heard
which is
Somebody answer me.
I was trying to.
I'm not quite sure I understood the question, but
Okay,
I don't know.
I'll restate it.
Dr. McCaffrey.
There are 10 people here. If I just divide this in half, that would be 5 people per subcommittee. And I'm thinking with 5 people per subcommittee, instead of doing it in a Zoom, it might be more effective and efficient if we could actually sit down face to face. And I think with 5 people, we should be able to find a place where we can social distance.
Right, but
And gloves.
so the problem with that is that if it's a subcommittee, then it needs to be open to the public it needs to be a place that's open. However, if 2 members of the subcommittee say, I want to look into this specific issue or this specific family, let's meet up, you can do that. What you can't do is have a majority of the subcommittee together.
And the other thing is that we are developing a scope of responsibility in a format on how to report, but that information is not for this meeting because we haven't discussed it at the regular commission meeting yet. Okay. So if you don't mind, we'll just stick to the items right now, and we'll get deeper into the other things once the other information has been approved and released.
Okay, thank you, Trina.
Dr. McCafferty, do you have anything to add about that?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we ought to stick with the agenda for today.
Okay.
I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm asking them.
Okay, and I think, is there anything else in the chat? I don't think I see anything else. I don't see any other hands raised. Do you,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Ms.
find.
Anne Marie?
I don't see anything else. Nope.
Oh, I gotta go.
All right, our next items on the agenda, I believe you all have received a copy of the commission's bylaws and as well as the mission, vision and goals. And for your review, these are they. And if you have any questions about what they are or any understanding that you need clarified, we can try to do that. But the bylaws are
Okay,
pending
I'm gonna have
approval
to leave.
from City Council, and the missions are available for your review.
Trina, can I ask a very stupid question? And part of it goes back to what Alicia was saying. I thought today's meeting was a meeting to say how we're going to go about doing our subcommittee work. And so far, we've discussed things like FOIA and now maybe the bylaws, which is the workings of the overall African American Commission. What time are we going to get to what are we doing as a subcommittee of the African American Commission?
Well, that is going to be in the scope that is going to be talked about at the regular commission meeting. We are not going into that today. The purpose of today's meeting was to talk about FOIA and to present the bylaws and the mission and goals to the subcommittee. And pretty much that was it for today.
Okay. But then there will be a meeting of these subcommittees, because I'm getting confused, and maybe it's just me getting confused. Because that was what I thought we were going to focus in on. What do you want me to do? I raised my hand and I signed up to study the years between here and here. And I'm still, I'm waiting for directions as to how I do that.
I think the confusion is that at the last commission meeting when we were signed on as subcommittee members, what was discussed at that time is we needed to have an orientation so that we could officially be and operate as subcommittee members. And this is that orientation session. Do I have that right, Trina?
That is correct.
But in 2 days, the commission then will be meeting. I believe you mentioned that you've been discussing some additional procedural stuff for the subcommittee that will be then on the agenda of the commission and then launching us officially on our subcommittee tasks. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Okay.
you did.
Okay, thank you.
Just I pulled up the agenda for Thursday's meeting just to reinforce what Mr. Moore has said. The Thursday's meeting, they will be discussing the subcommittee scope of responsibility, the documentation and reporting form that they have developed, and the commission comments and possible action. So that will be the commission's opportunity to look at the groundwork that has been laid in terms of how you would go about moving forward with the subcommittee work. And the commission would then kind of give you your marching orders from there.
Thank you, because that was one of the questions that I had. Where do we go from now? So now that's explained. It will be discussed. So thank you.
Oh, shoot. Oh, gosh.
So if there aren't any questions about the bylaws and the commission vision and mission and goals, oops. Dr. McCaffrey, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't. Thank you. And I'd like to thank all of you on the subcommittee who have volunteered your expertise and your time. And like Miss Anne Marie said, it's very important. And I know you'll do a great work. Thank you.
So at this point, we don't have a future meeting scheduled. We need to get through the commission meeting on Thursday and then go from there. We are trying to get there, so I appreciate your patience and your time.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything to add?
See you on Thursday.
That's it.
All right.
All right.
Great.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Meeting is
Thank you.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good one.